Sorry for the inconvenience. There was some network problem, so the network got disconnected. So I'll just restart this unit 15 from beginning. Since there was a network problem, the session got disconnected, so I've restarted the session once more. So I'll restart this Android network connectivity concept once more from beginning. So I'll just give a brief thing so that so Android allows your application to connect to the internet or any other local network and perform network operations. In this unit, you will be learning like how to work with the Android network connectivity. So basically, if your Android application wants to connect to the network and do some operations, you need to make use of this concept. Fine. You have some specific set of library which will help you to make network operations. Check whether there is a network available or not and do some operations accordingly. So at the end of this unit, you'll be able to understand like how to work with the Android network connectivity, how to identify how to run the task in the background using async task, identify how to make network calls using HTTP URL connection. Android lets your application connect to the internet or any other local network and allows you to perform network operations. Android provides connectivity manager class to check whether a device is connected to a network or internet. So you need to make use of this connectivity manager class to check whether there is network or not. So before that, before you check for the network connection, you need to make sure that you get an instance of the object. I mean, you need to get an instance of the get system service method, which will return you an object of the type connectivity manager. So once you call this piece of code, it will return you the connectivity manager object, which will be stored inside this variable. You need to call this get system service inside the activity file, passing the context of connectivity service, which will give you permission for accessing the network on the device from your app. So once the object is instantiated, you can use the get all network info method to get the information of all the networks. With this information, the state of the network is checked. So once you get the object for the connectivity manager, you call the get all network info method, which will return you all the networks available inside your mobile phone. So this will return all the networks which has been available in your mobile phone. So then you need to iterate using the for loop for all the networks, checking whether the state is present. I mean, state is connected or not connected. Probably these things I'll show you in the sample, which I'll be providing it later. I mean, I'll show you that sample now, and I will provide that sample later at the end of the session, so that you can download that sample and see how the code is working over there. So just show you the code for this. Okay, before that, I'll just show you the output. So this is the concept unit 15 network connection checking. So right now, if you see, I am connected to the network, right? So what I can do is I'll go for this activity, click on this check network connection. So once if I click, it displays a toast message saying that internet is available, right? So what I can do now is I'll switch off the Wi-Fi. I've disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and now if I click on the button, you can see internet is not available because I've completely turned off the Wi-Fi, and also I've turned off the data connection. So nothing is connected to the mobile. So it is showing network is not available. I mean, internet is not available. So in this way, you can make use of this code to check whether the network is available or not. I've already written the code to check how network is, I've already written the code to check whether internet is available or not. So if you want these things to be present in your project, probably you can just copy paste that file. See, this is the network connection. I'll just show you the XML file like how it looks. So this is the XML file. You just have a button over here, check network connection button. So once you click on this button, this particular function is called. If on-click is called. So here you are getting the reference of the button. Once you click on the button, you are registering the on-click listener. So once you click on the button, this particular function is called on-click. So inside this function, you are checking whether his network is available or not. Here check Wi-Fi and mobile data dot is connected. So you are checking whether there is network connection or not. Sorry. You need to pass the current application context for this function. So if this function returns true value, then it means network is available. If network is not available. So I'll show you what is there inside this class. So this class is a normal Java class. Remember this one, this class is a normal Java class which is created by me. Just create a normal Java class and I've given the class name as check Wi-Fi and mobile data. Inside that I've declared a public static function passing the application context. So whenever this function is called passing the application context, this will return you true or false value. Here in the first line we are getting the reference of the connectivity manager. We are getting the reference of the connectivity manager. Next I'm checking whether connectivity is null or not. If connectivity is not null, which means that I have received all the network information. So now I can say connectivity.get all network info, which will return all the connections available on the device. Next, you need to check whether info is null or not, just to be at the safer side, so that when you're accessing in the for loop with the variable as null value, it might throw an exception, right? So just to be at the safer side, you can check for the if condition, whether network info as the value as null or not. So inside the if condition, you can check for all the networks, whether you can check for all the networks. So here you can see that inside the if condition, I'm getting the state of it. Info of I. First time I will have some value as 0. So info of 0 that gets checked. If I have some 3 Wi-Fi networks connected to my device, present in my device, and one data connection, which will be probably 4, then it will check all the 4 networks, checking whether the network info state is connected or not. So if it finds at least one of the network is connected, then it will return the true value. If nothing is found, it will return the false value. Remember this one. So this is the code that you need to make use of it during the network connection. So if you have any doubts regarding this, probably you can ask now. If not, I'll be moving to the next topic, that is async URL, async task. Okay, I'll move for the next topic. Async task. So whenever you want to make network, whenever you want to make a call for the server and do some operations, you need to use the async task abstract class. Fine. And whenever you're doing some asynchronous tasks, you always need to do those things inside this async task. When the advantage of using this async task is it will not interfere with the main thread. So whatever operations that are going on, will be doing it on a separate thread. So the user will still be able to do some operations on the mobile. Simultaneously, the separate thread keeps running, and once its job is finished, it will inform to the UI thread saying that yes, my job is done. You please take over the control. So you can make use of this async task to make asynchronous work happening on the background thread. It's just that it is running on a parallel separate thread, child thread basically. Async task is designed to be a helper class around thread and handler. Async task should ideally be used for short operations, a few seconds at the most. The second concept says that I think if you are familiar with the core Java, you might have heard about the thread class and runnable interface, right? Where using the thread class and runnable interface, you are creating a separate thread. You are creating a separate threads over there and stacking the threads. So the same thing even over here. I mean, you don't need to use those things actually over here, but rather you can use the async task. But even those things are present. If you want to make use of it, if you want to make use of those things, you can use it. But it is not a recommended thing because Android itself has its own kind of library called as async task, which will help you in making all those things very easily. When an asynchronous task is executed, the task goes into 4 steps. On pre-execute invoked on the UI thread before the task is executed. So before an asynchronous task is executed, the first method that will be called is the on pre-execute, which will be invoked on the UI thread just before the task is executed. So that inside this function you can display a progress string. I think you might have seen this progress string which we saw in the previous class, right? So you can display the progress string or progress bar, indicating that some background processing is going on. Next function is the do in background. So this is the function that will be running on a separate thread. So once the on pre-execute is finished, do in background will be called. That will be running on a separate thread. And once it finishes its task, it will return the control back for the next method, fourth method, which is nothing but the on post execute function. So whatever result was returned from the on doing background, that will be sent for the on post execute function, and it will run on the UI thread. Remember, only doing background and on progress update. Only doing background will be running on a separate thread. Remaining everything will be running on the UI thread. Remember this one. There is one more function, on progress update. Invoke the UI thread after a call to publish progress. So if you want to display the progress of what is the percentage of the work that is being done or finished, then you can make use of this function, which can display the progress bar, amount of percentage which is been happening or completed. And the final one, which I already explained you, is the on post execute, which will be called at the last. Next is the HTTP URL connection. So async task and HTTP URL connection I'll show you simultaneously in the sample. So async task is just used for creating a separate thread, but to call the server you need some library, right? So that library is nothing but the HTTP URL connection class. Android provides HTTP URL connection and URL class to handle network operations. A URL connection for HTTP is used to send and receive data over the web. Data may be of any type and length. That is, you can send and receive streaming data whose length and type is not known in advance. So remember this one. A URL connection for HTTP is used to send and receive data over the web. You make use of this class to make calls to the server for sending and receiving the data. Data can be of any type and length. You don't worry about those things. You can just send and receive streaming data whose length and type is not known in advance. So you need to instantiate an object of the URL class by providing the link. So you have an URL class, uniform resource locator. You have the URL class. So for that URL, you need to pass the link, which will be of the type as string. So your web address, your link address should be present within the double quotes. Next is the open connection method. You need to call the open connection method is called to open a connection. Next, open connection is basically called on the HTTP URL connection. Next, you need to call the connect method, which will connect to the link provided. So whatever link you provided in the URL, to that particular link, the connection will be established. After the connection is established, you can do all kind of operations like sending or receiving the data. So using the HTTP URL connection object, you can send and receive the data over the web. So the complete syntax is provided over here. So HTTP URL connection or connection object equals to HTTP URL connection URL.open connection. URL is nothing but this one, right? So URL.open connection connection.connect. So this will connect to the URL which is being provided inside this link, inside the double quotes. So these are some of the functions available inside the HTTP URL connection class. You can disconnect the connection. Get request method will say whether you posted, whether you send the method as get or put or post or delete. Get response code, which will return you the HTTP response code, which might be 200, 300, 400 or 500 series, any kind of HTTP response code. Then you can also set the request method like HTTP get, post, put or delete. Then also you can use the proxy. Apart from this, there are a lot of other functions, but these are the common ones that will be used. Just to give a recap of what we saw, Android allows your application to connect to the internet or any other local network and perform network operations. Async task is an abstract class. Remember this one. Async task is an abstract class provided by the Android, which helps us to use the UI thread properly. It basically async task will create a separate thread and run it on a separate thread. So once it finishes, it will inform to the UI thread saying that my work is finished. You please take over the control and please take over the data for the processing, and which will be interactive with the UI. Async task allows us to perform long background operations and shows its results on the UI thread without having to manipulate the threads. Android provides HTTP URL connection and URL class to handle the network operations. Remember this one. Android provides HTTP URL connection and URL class to handle network operations. So I'll just explain you the source code. So I have a sample which I have demonstrated inside over here. I'll be giving the sample at the end of the session. So I'll show you the XML file. Here I have an edit text over here. I have a get data button over here. I have a list view over here. Fine. And also I have a progress bar over here. So now what I'll do is I'll show you the first output. First I'll show you the output. Yes, right now nothing is displayed, right? So I'll start typing something. I'll type something, and after I type something, I'll call the get data function. I'll call the get data button. Okay, it's giving a message saying that no internet. Probably I switched off the Wi-Fi. Okay, I'll connect to the Wi-Fi. So now if I click on the get data, here we are able to see some information over here. Here it's giving some information, right? So all this information is returned from the server. See, all the information is retrieved from the server. So you are not able to see the progress bar because it is retrieving the information very fast. So if there is a delay, probably this progress bar will be visible. So here I have declared this is the XML file which I showed you over here, which has edit text button and the list view control, and in the last I have a progress bar control. What I'll do is I'll just change the design slightly. I'll give the orientation as vertical. Fine. Now what I'll do is I'll rerun the application. Probably we will see the progress bar. I think the progress bar was hidden, I guess. Anyhow, we'll see the progress bar probably now. Just wait for some time so the application will start to run. See, once you start installing, once you start running, you can see these messages. Gradle will finish in some seconds installing APK. So it should run the app now. I think probably the app has. Okay, the app has finished its execution. I'll show you the output of it by clicking on the last option. So I'll type some data. Now if I click on the get data function, probably you can just observe the progress bar. Okay, progress bar is not coming. Probably it's taking very less time so that the progress bar is coming and going. I just see on that. I'm not able to see the progress bar because data is coming very fast. I just relaunched the application. See, I think now you saw the progress bar, right? Just observe the progress bar. It will just come and go. Here it's just coming and going, right? Here, when I click on the get data function, you can see that it comes in a very short period and goes away. Here it's just coming and going because its network connection is too fast and also the server is responding immediately. So it is giving the data very fast. So anyhow, progress bar is coming. Only thing is that if there is a slight delay inside the network, then it's probably the progress thing will be displayed. Since the network is fast, it is happening. It's showing and hiding the progress bar very fastly. Anyways, I just explained this one. Here I have a progress bar where I have declared all the variables over here and also declared a menu adapter class. Inside this menu adapter, I'm just displaying the string. Here I'm passing the list of string and I'm displaying the list of string values over here, getting one by one. Fine. We already seen this adapters concept in the third and fourth session. So you should be comfortable in this one. It's very simple. Here I am getting the layout file. In the layout file, I am getting the reference on the text view control. For the text view control, I am giving the data, and finally I am returning the view. So n number of items, n number of times this function will be called. It basically creates the view of it. If you have 8 records, this function will be called 8 times. Remember this one. Next. So I declare a menu adapter class over here for binding to the list view. Right, for sake of list view, I created this adapter class. Next, I'm declaring a list of string. Next, I'm getting the reference of all the 4 variables. Next, I'm giving the list, even though the list might be empty, initially itself I'm giving all the list for the adapter and I'm giving the adapter for the list view. Fine. Next, whenever I click on the get in data function, I have the button right. So whenever I click on the button, this particular function will be called. So what I'm doing over here is I'm checking whether the edit text has value or not. So here you can see that I'm checking for the condition if the edit text has the value empty or not. If it is not empty, then I'm checking for network connection. If check Wi-Fi mobile data dot is connected. So that's the reason I created a separate Java class so that I'll be able to access this function anywhere inside the application. And if you want this thing in your other app, I mean in the other Android application, you can just copy paste this file. So here I'm checking whether network is there or not. Next, this is the way you need to call the async task. This is my async task name, execute, and you need to pass the parameter. If you have any parameter that needs to be passed, you need to pass the parameter. And the parameter type should always be the same. You can't pass integer, float, and string. If you're passing integers, only one type of values should be passed. If you're passing employees, only employees object should be passed. Fine. If there is no network, I'm displaying the message. And here is below is the web async service task class, which I was explaining you in the slide. This is the syntax. So it basically becomes the inner class. So here I'm creating a private class web service async task, which is extending the async task class, right? I'm extending the async task class. Since async task is an abstract class, you need to implement all the overridden methods. I mean, all the abstract functions. So here I'm passing three kinds of parameters. First one is the input, the last one is the output. So whatever input you're passing, it should be passed as the first parameter, and this is the parameter which will be sending as the output from the doIn background function to the onPost execute function. I already explained you, right? This doIn background function will be running on a separate thread. So once it finishes its work, it will transfer the controller, it will transfer the output for the next function, that is onPost execute. So you should say the what kind of output will be passing. So in that case, I'm declaring a string object. So here you can see that inside the onPreExecute, as soon as you declare an object for the web service async task and call the execute function passing the parameter, it will be arriving in this variable, which is nothing but of the type generic, right? This is nothing but a generic type, where the runtime. So inside this onPreExecute, I am showing the progress bar. Fine. I am showing the progress bar. Next, inside the doIn background function, I am declaring a string builder object for holding the output. Next, I am declaring an HTTP URL connection object. Next, I am preparing the URL equals to new URL and some Google link. So params of 0 is nothing but the text which I pass over here. The string dot params is nothing but the var variable argity method. It is a concept in Java. It's a core Java concept, a variable argity method, where you'll be able to pass n number of parameters of the same type. So in params of 0, I'm passing the value to this query. Here I'm opening the connection, URL.open connection. Next, I'm checking whether the connection response code is okay or not. Always the servers will return the value as 200 series, 201 or 200. So in that case, depending upon your server's response code, you can check for the condition. If the condition is okay, HTTP okay, which is nothing but a 200 response code, then you need to read the input from the stream reader, because all the input is sent as the stream, right? So input stream reader object name equals to new input stream reader connects con.get input stream. So all the stream is being sent and put inside this input stream reader object. Basically, whatever stream is sent from the server, whatever data is sent from the server will be in the stream format. So convert the stream into normal English characters. So first you need to read the stream, store the stream inside the input stream reader. Next, hand over the input stream reader for the buffered reader. Next, declare a variable line equals to null. Next, read line by line from the buffer reader and keep appending it for the builder object. Keep reading the line by line. Keep reading line by line and append it for the builder object. Fine. Next, you need to implement the catch block such that if any exception is thrown, it will be handled over here. After that, you need to implement the finally block. If connection not equals to null, connection dot disconnect. After you do all the operations, the connection to the HTTP URL needs to be disconnected. So call the disconnect function on it. It will close the connection. After you finished creating the builder class which will contain the entire output, you need to call the builder.toString function. So this will convert the entire builder object into the string format. So whatever you're passing over here is passed to the onPostExecute function, right? So that's the reason you're mentioning the string value over here. Such that this doIn background function will be sending the string data. So here also string should be there, even here string should be there. Basically the return type. So instead is onPostExecute, specify the type as string value. If the value is null, it means there is no data. If the value is not null, then you need to declare a JSON array because the output received is in the form of a JSON array. So you need to give that string value for the JSON object, JSON array object, which will convert the entire string into a JSON array. So here you need to be very much careful. Convert the string into JSON, JSON into string. You need to learn all these concepts. It's very simple. So convert the string into the JSON array. Next, inside the JSON array, get the first object, JSON array dot get JSON of 1. Probably I'll just show you like how the output looks like. See, I'll copy this link. If you want it, those are all nothing but the REST API. So you can say here, if I type like this and press execute, you can see this is the response. See, this is the response. It is sending a JSON object. Inside the JSON object, it is sending one more JSON. Already it's a JSON array. Inside the JSON array, it's sending one more JSON array, which contains the values. So you need to retrieve this particular JSON array. So that's the reason here you are specifying JSON array dot get JSON array of 1, which is nothing but this object. Fine. Next, I'm clearing the list. Next, one by one, I'm adding it for the list. I'm retrieving each value one by one and adding it for the list. Fine. Here array list dot get string of I. I'm retrieving all these values one after the other and I'm adding it to the list. And since the list is already given for the adapter, if you just call notified data set change, it will bind the data to the list view control. So in this way, data is fetched and displayed to the UI without the user knowing what happened. He just keeps using the app and in a background everything will be finished and it will update the UI accordingly. So this was the asynchronous task concept. So if you have any doubts, you can ask now. If you have any doubts, you can ask now. you have any doubts, you can ask now. Okay, we'll take a break for 5 minutes and then start the remaining concepts. We'll go for the next topic, which is nothing but the Google Maps. You can take a break for 5 minutes and then we'll start with the next topic, Google Maps. Okay, we'll start with the next topic. Just a second. Only the app was installing, so it was taking a bit of time. Anyway, by that time we can. So the next concept is the building apps with the location and maps. So I think most of the apps you might have seen that the Google Maps will be used, right? There may be different kinds of apps where they show the Google Maps in a different way. They show the Google Maps and also they point the location wherever you are, and also they point the hotels, restaurants, petrol bunks, and all those things. So all those information can be fetched from the Google APIs. So once you go for the developer account, you can see all those information over there. So you can get those APIs, integrate those APIs inside your app and fetch all those information. So you can make your app more helpful and relevant to users by providing location specific information. In this unit, you'll be learning how to add user location and map information in an app. So at the end of this unit, you'll be able to make an app location aware and add map services in an app. There are a lot of map services which is available. Probably we can't show or we can't say all the services, but what you need to do is just make use of the samples and create in a more advanced way. Probably you just need to Google and see for other map services depending upon your requirement. Okay. One of the unique features of the mobile application is location awareness. Google Play Services location APIs facilitate adding location awareness to the app with automated location tracking, geofencing, and activity recognition. So these are some of the features of the Google Play Services. Facilitate adding location awareness to the app. Location awareness to the app in the sense getting your current location and pointing it on the Google map with automated location tracking, geofencing, and activity recognition are preferred over the Android framework location APIs as a way of adding location awareness to the app. Are used to fetch the current location, periodic location updates, and lookup addresses. So it can also fetch your current location, periodic location updates, like for every 1 minute it will give you a different coordinate saying that you have changed your position. So it can also give you the periodic location updates and also the lookup addresses. Lookup address in the sense where exactly you are present. So getting the last known location. Using the Google Play Services location APIs, the app can get the last known location of the user's device. Last known location of the device is considered equivalent to the user's current location. The Fuse location provider is one of the location API in Google Play Services. It is used to retrieve the last known. The Fuse location provider is one of the location API in Google Play Services. It is used to retrieve the last known location of the device. Fuse location provider manages the underlying location technology and also optimizes the use of battery power of the device. So basically using this provider you can get the last known location of the device, exactly where you were present. Basically it gives you the coordinates. Basically, it will give you the coordinates of where exactly you are present. Get last location method in Fuse location provider is used to make a single request for the location of the device. Even this will also give you the last node location where exactly you are present. To access the Fuse location provider, you need to include the Google Play services in the app's development project. Download and install the Google Play services component via the SDK manager and add the library to the project. So before you make use of the Google Play services, you need to download the SDK from the SDK manager and then integrate with your app. Remember this one. You can't use the Google Maps directly. You need to make sure that you download the necessary Google SDKs and integrate with your application or add it to your application. You need to download those SDKs from the SDK manager, which I'll be showing you shortly. So to make the Google Play Services APIs available to the app, open the build.gradle file inside the application module directory. Add a new build rule under dependencies for the latest version of the Play Services. So you just need to put this line of statement inside your app. com.google.android.gms Play Services 8.3.0. So you're adding this dependency inside the build.gradle file. So this will download the library and add it to your project. Be sure you update the version number each time Google Play Services is updated. See, this particular version number keeps changing, right? Every time Google releases new updates, the version number might change. So make sure that every time you update the latest Google Play Services. Save the changes and click sync project with the graded files to the in the toolbar. Probably I'll just show you that one. Okay, still this project is not able to run it. Just give me a second. I just run this app. Okay, app is running. Well, it's working. Okay, fine. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just I'll just show you like the SDK manager where you need to download that. Click on this SDK manager. Click on this SDK manager and click on this launch standalone SDK manager. Fine. Next, make sure you download the Google Play Services over here. Just give it a second so that it will load everything. After everything, you should here for right. If I'm using Android 5.1.1 API 22, I need to make sure that the Google APIs are installed. So here you can see that I will install the Google APIs for API 22. Likewise, if you see for API 21 also, I have installed the Google APIs. So whichever platform you are trying to target, that particular platform APIs needs to be installed. If you install the highest one, it will be available for all the versions. See, I have not installed for for Android 6.0 API 23 also I have installed the Google APIs. For Android N, I'm not installed still. So if I'm targeting for Android N, which is something but the API 24, then I need to install the SDK platform, and still the Google Play service is not there. So once it comes, I need to install even the Google Play services for the Android N. So this is the place where you need to install the Google Play services and all the necessary libraries. So after selecting the options, you can click on the install packages so that it will download and install the packages to your system. After that, you can close the window. So you can put this piece of statement inside the build a Gradle file. Like what you can see over here, the statement you need to put it inside this dependencies. Fine. Probably I'll just show you that one also. See, I'll copy this line of code. You can see this Gradle script. You can see this build up Gradle. Open this build up Gradle, and you need to put this statement. Here already I have the latest version 8.4.0. So again I can't repeat it, right? So that's the reason it's giving error. So once you put this statement and click on this sync now, it will download all the libraries. See, once I clicked on sync now, it is downloading all the libraries. I mean, it's preparing the build. Since I didn't change anything, it didn't do anything. But if you have made some changes, or if you have installed any libraries, then it will put it over here. Fine. Okay. Probably I'll show you these dependencies and everything in the end of this session. Establishing connection. Here is your app. Your app code is present. Your app code needs to communicate with the Google Play Services SDK, which has this Google API client class. So this will communicate with the Google Play Services app. This is your app, right? Present inside the Google Play Service. I mean, present inside your mobile device. So this Google Play Services SDK will interact with the Google Play Services app present on your device. Here is your code. Your code interacts with the Google Play Services SDK. Your Google Play Service SDK will interact with the Google Play Services app. This will fetch all the necessary information. Probably I can just show you that one, I guess. Google Play Services. Okay. What you can do is okay. App permissions. Apps that use the location services must request location permission. Android offers two location permissions. Access course location allows an app to access the approximate location. Access find location is the other one, allows an app to access the precise location. Remember these things. Depending upon your requirement, you can choose one of the options. So request the permission with the user's permission element in the app manifest. So you need to put these permissions inside your app manifest file, Android manifest file. So this is the permission that you need to put. See, this is the permission that you need to put, which will give permission to your app. Probably I'll just show you the source code. Here, if I go for my Android manifest file, you can see that these are the permissions which I am using. Access course location, access network state, and one more thing I forgot in the previous topic. If you are trying to connect to the network, then you need this permission to be put in. Without this permission, your apps will not work. Remember, we were using the HTTP URL connection class, right, which will connect the server. It is going on network, right? Internet, it is making use of the internet, right? So you need to make sure that the app has the permission to use the internet. So you need to put this permission inside your app, inside the Android manifest file, so that the Android operating system will give the permission for your app to make use of the internet. Likewise, if you want to read the current location and all those things, you need to put this permissions. Fine. So whatever permissions you require, you can put those permissions over here. Okay, this we already finished. So to connect to the location services API, in the activities on create method, create an instance of the Google API client using the Google API client dot builder. You need to create an object of the Google API client object. Remember this one. You need to declare an object of the Google API client. We declare an object over here for this type. Declare an object. Here you need to pass this, which is nothing but a current activity reference. And if you have any connection callbacks, you need to pass over here. If the connection has failed, you need to pass over here. And if you want whatever services you want, you need to pass it inside this add API. Add API location services dot API. So right now I'm requesting only for location services. After adding all the things, you need to build the object. Fine. After you build the object, you can use these things now. So to request the last known location, call the get last location method by passing the instance of the Google API client object. We already got this client object, right? Google API client object. So using this one, you can get the location. So here is the activity. Inside this activity, I am implementing this connection callback and on location on connection failed listener. Fine. So here last location equals to location services dot use location API get last location of Google API client, which you already created in the earlier. So pass that object over here. It will give you the last known location. If last known location not equals to null, it means that you have received the coordinates. So you can get the coordinates by calling this function last location dot get latitude or get longitude, which will return you the latitude and longitude, which is nothing but the coordinate. So this is the code that is used to write. This is the code that is used to get the coordinates of the place. Receiving location updates. If you want to periodically receive the location updates, I mean, see, there might be some scenario where you keep traveling and you want to keep changing the coordinates, right? So in that kind of scenario, you can use this receiving location updates. Probably every 1 meter or every 1 kilometer, you can receive the updates. Same thing, you use the on connected, register the Google API client and location request. Next, inside the on location change, you have one more function called as on location change, which needs to be overridden and which is present inside this connection callback on connection fail listener. So whenever the location is getting changed, this particular function will be called. Remember this one. Whenever the location keeps changing, this particular function is called, where the lat and long will be passed in this location object. So to get the lat and long, you need to say location dot get latitude and location dot get longitude, which will return you the current, which will return you the locations. There is one more concept. displaying location addresses. The process of converting a geographic location to an address is called reverse geocoding. Remember this one. The process of converting a geographic location to an address is called reverse geocoding. Basically, converting the coordinates to an address is called as reverse geocoding. Create a geocoder object to handle this reverse geocoding. So you need to create a geocoder object passing the current reference, application reference, and the locale.getDefault. Fine. Next, to get the address corresponding to a geographic location, you need to call the getFromLocation method, passing the latitude and longitude from the location object and the maximum number of addresses you want it to be returned. Basically, you are passing the latitude and longitude, and for that latitude and longitude, you are trying to receive the addresses. For example, if you pass your current coordinate, it will return you the current address. The address might be approximately correct. It might be 100% correct, or it might be slightly different. It might be giving you the neighboring address or somewhere else. Whatever Google can understand, it will give you. But almost the address will be same. Whatever you search in the Google Maps in the website, the same address will be returned even over here. Fine. So this is the code. Geocoder.getFromLocation. Pass the lat and longitude, and you need to specify the number of addresses that you want it to be received. Since I'm specifying 1, it will return the 1 record and store it inside this addresses list. So this geocoder returns an array of addresses. If no addresses were found to match the given location, it returns an empty list. Remember this one. So this is basically getting the addresses from your current location. Current coordinates. The coordinates can be anywhere, but the addresses will be written for the particular coordinates. See, next you can display the addresses like this. You can say addresses equals to get of 0, which will return you the first address object. Next, declare a string. Next, you can say address.get address line, get city, get state, get country. You can use all those functions. You just need to press address dot. Once you press address dot, it will give you all the functions available, which is basically the IntelliSense. Remember this one. Once you press address, once you type address dot, it will display all the functions available. So you can make use of the functions whichever is appropriate for your case. Google provides Google Map and Map Fragment API to integrate map in the Android application. Okay, before seeing this one, I'll just show you the output. This is map concept. Before that, I'll show you the. Okay, actually all are interlinked. Probably what I can do is I can first explain the concepts and then show you all the samples which I've created for you all. Google provides Google Map and Map Fragment API to integrate map in the Android application. Add the map fragment into the XML layout file. So this is the code that you need to add for displaying the Google Maps. Remember this one. This is the code that you need to add for displaying the Google Maps. In order to use the Google Maps, create an object of the Google Map in the activity file and get the reference of the map from the XML layout file. So declare an object of the Google Map and you need to get the reference of this object. You need to get the reference of this object. So you need to say get fragment manager dot find fragment by id r dot id dot map, which is nothing but the map variable dot get map. This will return you the Google Map and store it inside this Google Map object. Fine. So this is the code. This is the XML code. This is the XML code and this is the Java code for getting the reference of the map. So anyhow, you need to put all the permissions required and you also need to put the Google Map API key. Fine. You also need to put the Google Map API key over here. You can get the Google Map API key inside from the developers console, which I'll be showing you shortly. How to get the Google Map API key. So you need to put the Google Map API key also over here. Adding a marker. I think you might have seen the Google Apps, right? In some of your apps, they place the marker on the Google Map. Likewise, to place the marker on the Google Map, this is the syntax. So you need to declare the lat and long object, lat long object, pass the lat and long coordinates over here. Next, you need to declare a marker. Marker equals to Google Map dot add marker, new marker options dot position and title as current location. So you need to declare an object of the type marker options, pass the position, which is nothing but the lat and long, and also the title. Fine. Next, you need to set the Google Map. You can also set the Google Map type. Google Map dot set map type as map type normal or hybrid or satellite or terrain. Probably you might have seen all these types in the Google Maps in the website, right? So you have all those options even in the Google Maps in Android. So this particular thing will add the marker for the Google Map. So these are some of the functions available for the Google Map. You can add a circle, you can add a polygon, you can add a marker, you can animate the camera, move the camera and other things. Okay, I'll just show you the samples, few samples which I've created. Here, I was showing you the Google Map API key, right? It is present over here. It is present over here. Okay, I'll show you the output. So these are the three examples which I've shown. One sample is for displaying the Google Map. So once when you click on this Google Map, you can see that my current location is being pinpointed. Here, my current location is pinpointed. It's displaying the Google Maps and also it is displaying the location. Probably in one of the Bangalore place, it is displaying the location. Fine. If you want, you can display your current location. So this sample is used for displaying the Google Map and also point to the current location. I'll just show you the source code for that example. So I'll show you the XML file. See, in the XML file, I don't have anything except this fragment. I told you, right, we need to put one fragment. I showed you one XML code, right, which will display the Google Map. So same thing even over here. I'm putting the XML code for displaying the Google Maps over here. So this is the XML code, and inside the activity file here you can see that I'm receiving the object. The one which I showed you in the slides is in a different way. Even this is in a different way. There are different ways of getting the reference of the Google Map. Probably you can try out even this example. So you need to get the reference for the map. Here I am using support map fragment or declare an object support map fragment get support fragment manager dot find fragment by ID. So and specify the map variable name. Map is nothing but which is present over here, variable name for the fragment. Fine. Get the reference of this fragment and store it inside this variable. Next, you need to say map fragment dot get map async. This is the latest concept that you need to keep using these things. Fine. So you need to say map fragment dot get map async of this. And make sure you have implemented this on map ready callback. Once you set this, once the map is ready, this particular function will be called. Here you can see that manipulates the map once is available. This callback is triggered when the map is ready to be used. So this is called automatically when the map is ready. This is where we can add markers or lines, add listeners or remove the camera in this case. You can do whatever options you want inside this function. Fine. Next, here I am storing the reference inside the M map. Next, you can add an object. Here, adding a marker in Sydney and moving the camera. Okay, I think here I am adding a marker over here. Adding a marker in Sydney. This is the coordinates for the Sydney. Fine. Fine. Next, you are adding I'm declaring an object for lat long, passing the Sydney's coordinate, and I'm adding the marker using the add marker function. New marker options position. I'm passing the Sydney's coordinates, and also I'm setting the title. Next, I'm moving the camera to that particular location. New lat long. This is the function that you need to use for moving the camera, basically for focusing over there. Fine. Camera update factory dot new lat long, and even here you need to pass the coordinates. So your camera will be moved or focused to that particular location. What I'm doing after this one is mmap dot clear. I'm clearing the map. So that's the reason you might see in the example. If I click on this, you can see only the Bangalore coordinates because this code is getting executed. It is displaying the Sydney marker. After that, I am running this map.clear. So whatever was there, it will clear the markers. Whatever markers was there, it will clear the markers. After that, again it is creating the marker on a different location. See, the title is nothing but this one. See, if I click on that marker, it will display the title. So that title is nothing but which is given over here. Fine. One is the coordinate and one is the title. Title will be used when you click on the marker. If you want the title to be displayed on the marker, then you can give the title. Fine. So this is a sample for displaying the Google Map and pointing the markers. We'll see with the next one, get location and place marker. So the second example, we'll get the current location and place the marker. Yes. Here, if I pass Bangalore, it is giving the current, it is pointing to the current location. Fine. So here you can see that GPS is switched off. So please turn on it. So here it is saying that your GPS is switched off. So please turn on it. So what I can do is I can go and switch on the GPS. I turn on the location GPS, and now again I need to refresh the thing. So I'll come back, and again when I click on the second option, my current location should be pinpointed. Here it is pointing to my current location. See, it's pointing to my current location. I'm staying in this layout, so it is pointing to my current location. So here I'm getting the current location and printing it. I mean, I'm placing the marker over there. And one more thing which I've done in that sample is here it's automatically taking me to the current location wherever I'm present. So now if you want to place one more marker, what you can do is you can long press on the one of the place. See, if I long press, it will place the marker over there. Again, if I do a long press, it will place the marker. See here, if I tap on the marker, it will show the coordinates. It will show the coordinates. Fine. So in this sample, I've shown you how to point to the current location, and also when you do a long press, how to add a marker. The second example is this one, place marker activity. I'll show you the XML file for that one. So here you can see that I've added this fragment inside a relative layout. Here I've added this fragment and also I'm adding a text view in the bottom. So I'm displaying the map as well as the text view control. Both are there inside the relative layout. Now I'm declaring a variable for text view and the Google Map. Next, I need to use the location listener and location manager to get the current coordinates. So declare an object for those two variables. Next, I'm getting the reference of the text view control. Next, as usual, I need to get the location of the, I need to get the reference of the map and register it to the get map async. I need to get the location manager service. So to get the location manager service, I've already explained those things in the slide. So the same thing is present even over here. Location manager of get system services. So this get system services will return you an object. That object needs to be converted into the location manager and store it inside this manager object. Fine. Next, inside this onMapReady, when is this onMapReady function called? This onMapReady function is called when the Google Map is ready. Right? This onMapReady function is called when the Google Map is ready. So you store that Google Map object inside this global Google Map object, which is declared over here. Next, you set the event Google Map dot set on map long click listener. So I'm registering the listener over here. Whenever I do a long press on the map, some particular action should be performed. So that is done over here. Here I'm registering the listener over here, and this function is written over here. Listener is written over here. So whenever I do a long press, this particular function is called. Fine. Okay. When the map is ready, by default, I'm setting the Bangalore latitude and longitude, which is the normal one itself. By default, I'm setting the Bangalore's coordinates, adding a marker, and moving I'm moving the camera to that particular location. Next, I'm getting the user current location. Here I've written a function in the bottom to get the current location. So before you get the current location, there are few things that you need to do it. So you need to check whether the GPS is switched on or off. So this is the condition that will check whether the GPS is on or off. Fine. And if the SDK version is greater than 23, this will be executed. Fine. Next, you need to again check manager.isProvider enabled for network provider. If again the GPS is switched off, if you're trying to run on a higher end devices, if you are trying to see, this if condition will be executed only if it is greater than or equals to 23. If not, if it is less than 23, then you need to use this if condition to check whether GPS is switched on or off. Remember this one. This is used only greater than or equals to 23. If it is lesser than, then you need to use this condition. Manager.isProvider enable location manager.network provider. If this condition results to true, it means that there is network. It means that there is GPS is switched on. If this condition results to false, it means that location is turned off. So display the message GPS is switched off. So please turn on it. I'm just displaying that result inside a text view control. Fine. Once the condition is results to true, inside the location listener, you need to declare a new location listener. Next, whenever the location gets changed, whenever the location is changing, it will return you the new coordinates. So this is the code that will return you the new coordinates. See, already this function is returning the location object. So from that location object, get the lat and long and store it inside the lat-lng object. Fine. Next, you get the coordinates. Just store the coordinates inside a string variable. Display the coordinates inside the label. Next, whatever Google Map, whatever markers are there on the Google Map, clear it first. If you want to clear the markers in the Google Map, run this code, or else you can comment this code, which will not clear the markers on the Google Map. Fine. Next, add this coordinate to the Google Map. Here Google Map.add marker, add that coordinate. And here you can see that I'm passing the coordinates itself, which is nothing but a string value, to the title. Next, I'm setting the camera, and 12 is the zoom factor. I'm setting the current location and also the zoom factor, which is nothing but 12. So again, we have other functions like on status change, on provider enable, on provider disable. Probably you can just make use of all these functions. So basically, this is the code which will return you the current location. So whenever you want the current location to be present, you can call this get user location function, which is written in a common place. Fine. And whenever you do a long press, same thing I'm doing. It is passing the lat long object. I'm converting it to a string just for displaying it on the title and the screen. I'm displaying it on the text view control. Next, same thing. I'm animating the camera, focusing to that particular location with the zoom factor as 12. Next, I'm adding the marker over there. That's it. So whenever you do a long press on the Google Maps, it is getting the current location where you have pressed and adding a marker on that particular place. So I'll just give a brief of what this example did. First time when you open the app, by default it is pointing the marker to the Bangalore coordinates. By the time the location manager is ready, it will get the current location of where you are present and add the marker. And next, whenever you do a long press on the Google Map, it will get the current location of where you have done a long press and add the marker to that current location where you do the long press. Fine. So this was the second sample. The third one is your geocoder. See, it is getting the current, it is getting the location address. See, this is the third sample geocoder. I am converting the coordinates into the address, which I explained you in the PPT slide, right? I showed you one example. I was able to convert the coordinates into the address. So same sample I have demonstrated even over here. Here, I'll press somewhere inside I'll press here. I'll do a long press here. You can see that the address is changed, right? You can see I have pointed the location over here and also address is changed. So probably I'll go to some other place and I'll do a long press over here. Here it is highlighting the it is putting the marker and also getting the address. Fine. So this example is basically I'm getting the current location. Getting the location of wherever the user is doing the long press, converting the address, converting the lat long into the address. Which is nothing but the geocoder activity. I'll show you the XML file first. So here I am displaying the fragment. Below I am displaying the linear layout. Inside the linear layout, one text view for text address, city, state, country, and postal code. So for displaying all these things, I am putting all these things inside a linear layout. Basically display the address. Fine. So inside the Java file, I am declaring all the addresses. I'm declaring the variables for all the addresses and also the Google Maps, and also I'm using the location manager, which we used in the same previous example. Getting the reference of the control, getting the reference of the map, registering the location manager. Fine. Next, inside the on map ready, I am registering this map on click listener. So on click listener, whenever I do a long press, this particular function will be called on click listener. Next, by default I am setting the coordinate and I am doing the reverse geocoding on that one. Okay, anyways, I am adding the marker on the place and moving the camera and animating the camera with zoom factor. Here I am animating the camera. Here I am moving the camera to that particular location. Remember that these two things. Moving the camera is different, animating the camera is different, but almost both are work the same thing. Fine. So here I am converting the location into the default location, right? Here I am converting the location into the addresses. So I have written a separate function, reverse geocoding. So here I am passing the coordinates. So I have written two functions. One is for converting the lat and long to the addresses and address to the lat and long. Fine. So here I am using the geocoder. Fine. Here I am using the geocoder. Next, gcd object dot get from location. I am passing the lat and long and I am requesting for 5 addresses. So it will return you the addresses list. Here I am getting the addresses. If address is not equal to none and addresses of size greater than 0, I am just getting the first address object. So I'm getting the address line, and if you want, I can get the locality, I can get the get admin area, get country name, get postal code. So by checking for the if condition, whether it is null or not, just check for if condition whether the addresses is null or not. So check for the if condition and display the addresses inside the text view control. Fine. So this is the code which will convert the coordinates into the addresses. Likewise, I have one more function which will convert the text into the addresses. Which will convert the address into the Latin long, which is nothing but a geocoding. So same thing, declare an object for the geocoder. Next, gcd.get from location. Pass the text and also the number of addresses. So even here it is giving the coordinates. See, addresses not equals to null addresses, and from there I am getting the coordinates. Addresses dot get latitude and addresses dot get longitude. So I am pointing that marker on the Google map. So this is the function which will convert your string into the string, in the sense your address, into the coordinates. Simple. Same thing, your current location. I already explained this current location in the previous sample, right? So the same function is copy pasted over here. Extra two functions are reverse geocoding and geocoding. That's it. Fine. Okay, I'll just create a new project for showing how to display the Google Maps. Next, I'll click on the next. I'll click on the next. I'll select the empty activity, click on next. I won't do any changes over here, and again click on finish. Next, I'll change this to 23 as my okay. Let me see whether I have the. It's still doing a Gradle build, so you just need to wait for some time. So I don't have anything inside my activity file. So for adding the new Google Maps, you can right click, new. You have this Google. You can select this Google Maps activity. Go for new. Select the Google Maps activity. It will ask you for the name. You can give whatever name you want and click on the finish button. It will add the Google Maps to your page. To your project. And yes, Google Maps key. You can get the Google Maps key. See, to get the Google Maps key, it is very simple. Here they are given the comments also. To get one, before you run your application, you need the Google Maps API key. So to get one, follow this link, follow the directions and press create at the end. So copy this link. Copy this link. Fine. Copy this link and put it on the browser. Here it will ask to create a new project. It is creating a new project. Now the project is created with the name as my project. Now next, go to the credentials. So here it will ask you for the Android API key. You can give whatever name you want. Next, you can see that the SHA-1 fingerprint is already been added. So as soon as you just copy paste the link, right, automatically the name is automatically the SHA-1 fingerprint is added. So you don't need to do anything. So after that, you just click on the create button. So this is your system. SHA-1 fingerprint is nothing but the system key, SHA-1 key. Here, this is the key. So you can copy paste this key. So copy paste the key, copy the key and paste it in this particular place. Okay, it's not copied. Okay, it's not copying actually. Okay, I think I have some. Okay, what I can do is I can copy from here itself. I'll copy the key. Make sure you don't share the key with anyone. Since even I'm also sharing, I'm also sharing, I'm showing the key to you all, right? So later on, after this session is over, I'll be deleting this key just to make sure that people don't misuse the key. So whenever you create the keys, make sure that you don't share those keys with anyone else. Probably they might misuse it. So this is the key which you need to make use of it inside your app. See, this is your project. Here I've created many projects over here, right? So put the key over here. That's it. After that, you need to put necessary permissions inside your manifest file. I think few permissions might be added by default. Here, access find location is been added. Fine. Next. What I can do is, I'll copy this maps activity. How do you see right now when you run this application, the main activity will be invoked, right? So what you can do is, you can navigate the activity. Here I can say intent equals to new intent, get application context, map activity dot class, start activity intent. So once this main activity is loading, it will immediately navigate to the map activity class. Fine. Let's run the application. So here I'm showing like how to add the Google Maps to your application. I just created a new project. Right click on the project, add new Google Map fragment. and add the key to your project. That's it. Okay. I need to reduce the SDK version because I'm not installed 24 over here. So in your case, if you have installed the necessary libraries, then you can make use of it. If you have not installed the necessary libraries, then you need to reduce the version number. Since I have not installed API number 24, I can't use API number 24. So I'm changing 24 to 23 because I have not installed API number 24 libraries in my system. So I'll be able to run this application till the API 23 onwards. So now I'll run the app. So just wait for a minute so that the app will build and run the thing. I think you can see the message over here. Gradle build running. So it is preparing to run the app. I think it might take some time, I guess. So by that time, we'll just I think it's still installing the APK. Okay, I think it's launched the application. It's taking some time, I guess, for displaying the maps. So now it is loaded the map. Here, that's it. It's pointing the marker to the Sydney. I think by default they have written. I think by default they have written I think, okay, maps activity. This was the activity which we added. See, by default, the marker is in the Sydney, right? So this is the default activity which is being created. So you can make use of this activity. If you want, I can, I can just copy paste this one. Slightly, I'll change the coordinates. I'll just give a number. I'll give place one, and place one. I'll give some place. Let us see where it will point. So I'll just read on the application. See, it is pointing somewhere else. Here, someplace marker in Sydney. So this was the marker which I added just randomly, right? So it is placing two markers. So like this, you can keep experimenting. So the sample which I showed you was just to create a new project and add the Google Maps concept inside your project. That's it. Very simple, right? You didn't write any piece of code, but just added a new maps activity by right clicking over here. Right click, new Google Maps activity. This will create a new activity and display the Google Maps. That's it. So we'll go for the last unit, building apps with, okay, not this one. Publishing apps on the Google Play Store. It's a purely non-technical concept, but you need to be aware about this one. Publishing apps on the Google Play Store. Google Play Store is the premier store for distributing the Android app. When you publish on Google Play Store, you put your apps in front of the Android's huge base of active customers in more than 190 countries and territories across the world. So once you publish your app, more than 190 countries will be able to view your app inside the Google Play Store. In this unit, we'll be learning step-by-step implementation of creating a signed APK for publishing your app inside the Google Play Store. See, it's not compulsory that you need to know this procedure. Whenever you are publishing the app, just follow these steps. Whatever, I think you might be having all these slides, right? So just refer to the slides, you'll be easily publishing the app. Still, if you're not able to understand, there are a lot of websites which will teach you how to publish the app. So probably you can refer to those things. It's very much simple itself. There's no much complicated. But try to concentrate more on the development side rather than seeing how to publish the app, because this is the last step, right? Anyways, at the end of this unit, we'll be able to identify the steps for creating the release APK in Android Studio, familiarize with the Google Play Developer Console web page, identify the information needed to make the app ready to upload in the Google Developer Console, create an APK file to publish your app. So these are the steps that you need to be aware, that you need to keep in mind. Prepare to release, signing your APK, creating publisher account, upload a APK to the Play Store. These are the 4 steps that you need to follow when you are publishing to the store. The preparation process is required development task for all Android application and is the first step in the publishing process. In development environment, the app executes in debug mode. When it is time to upload the app to the store and publish, it is necessary to activate the release mode of the application. Remember this one. See here, you can see it is in the debug mode, right? Edit configurations. Here you can see it's in the debug mode. So by default, the app will be there inside the debug mode. In release mode, any debug logging, strict mode, debug logging option must be disabled. Debug logging in the sense you might have put that logs, right, which I showed before some time. Log.e, log.v, so all should be disabled. When you prepare your application for release, you configure, build and test the release version of your application. Once you change your app for the release version, make sure you test even the release version once, because sometimes when you change from debug to release, there might be situations where your app might not. So after creating the release version, just test your app once. So these are the steps again that you need to follow. Prepare to release. Choose a good package name for your application. Turn off logging and debugging. Clean up the project directories. Whatever unwanted files you have kept, release all those things. Delete all those things. Review and update your manifest and build settings. Address compatibility issues of devices. Just make sure that your app runs on all the devices. Update URLs for servers and services. Sometimes, not sometimes, when you are doing a testing, you might be connecting to a staging server or testing server, right? So before you publish your apps to the Google Play Store, make sure you change the links for the production servers. Fine. Next, implement the licensing. Sign your APK. You need to generate the key store file to sign your app for release. Key store is responsible for maintaining cryptographic keys and their owners. So to sign your app in release mode in Android Studio, you need to click on Build, Generate Signed APK from the menu bar. Fine. Probably I can show you over here itself. Click on Build, Generate Signed APK. Click on Build, Generate Signed APK. Now you need to, on the Generate Signed APK, you need to give the key store path, or if you're already having the existing one, you can select the existing file and create a new thing. Here I can give a existing, I can create a path. I can store it in some particular place. Give a password over there. Give an alias, again give a password and click on the next. Fine. Give the key store path where you want to store it. If you have the existing one, if you already have an existing key, you can choose the existing one. Or else if you want to create a new one, create a new one. Give a password, give a alias name, again give the key password. Fine. It's very much simple. Next, once on the new key store window, provide the required information. Password is there, confirm password is there, alias, validity years should be 25. You give your first name, organization unit, company name, city, state, country code, everything. Fill up all the information. Fine. Next, choose the destination folder for the release.apk file to be created and select the build type as release. This is the most important step. Make sure you select the place here where you want the APK to be generated. Fine. APK destination folder. Select the location where you want that APK file to be created. Next, select the build type to be as release. By default, build type will be in the debug mode. So change the debug to release. Fine. Next, click on the finish button. That's it. Your APK will be created. Next, you need to log into the publisher account. So visit this link, play.google.com/apps-publish. Go for this link. You'll be able to see your email ID over here. Fine. Next, click on this checkbox and click on continue to payment for the first time. You log in using your developer account. Fine. Log in using your developer account. Once you get this page, click on this continue to payment. Next, Enter basic information about your developer identity like name, email address, and other things. Fill up all the information which they are asking. Provide the payment method like credit or debit card. Next, once everything is ready, basically in the previous slides you were seeing like how to create the account over there. In this thing, you are seeing all the applications which have been hosted by you, hosted in the sense published by you to the Play Store. Right now you can see there are two apps which has been published, right? So here you can click the add new application. Click on the add new application from the previous slide. See, click on this add new application button. Once you click on add new application, it will take you to this particular page. I mean, it will show you this page. Type the name of your app as you want it to appear in the Google Play. Give the name, upload the APK, and prepare store listing to start filling required information needed to publish the app. You can start from any one of the two options. So either proceed with the upload APK or go with the prepare store listing, whichever you want. So upload the APK first. I mean, if you want to do the other thing, you can do it. But here I am showing like upload the APK. So once you click on upload APK, it will show you this thing. Upload the APK. Prepare a store listing. You need to do the following to make the app ready for publishing. So you need to give the title and description. Give the app type and category. What kind of category it is, whether it's a game or a fun entertainment, music, something like that. Content rating. Next, email ID, pricing and distribution, guidelines, and upload the APK. So these are the things that you need to follow. That's it. So it's very much simple. Once you go to this page, you'll be easily understanding what to do over there. You just need to keep filling up the information, upload the APK, and publish the app. So here you can see this button right, publish app. So after filling out the information required, click on this publish app. It will publish the app to the Google Play Store. So just to give a recap of what we saw, Google Play Store is the premier store for distributing the Android apps. Basic steps included in publishing the Android app in Play Store are prepare to release, sign your app in Android Studio, create the publisher account and upload the APK to the Play Store. You need to create a key store file to sign your app for the release. Key store file is something like a unique file. Every time when you republish your app, you need to keep your key store file. If you lose that file, then there is no other way. So once you generate a key store file, make sure that you preserve the key store file carefully. Because again, when you're republishing the app, you need that key store file for republishing. A Gmail account is needed to set up the Google Play Developer account. You can either upload the APK file or start store listing after creating a new app in the developer console. Package name of the app to be published in Play Store should be unique. Remember this one. Package name of the app to be published in the Play Store should be unique. Make sure you give the proper package name and it should be unique. That's it. So if you have any doubts, you can ask now. So if you have any doubts, you can ask now. Okay. Thank you for attending the session. Have a great day. If you have any doubts, you can mail to us. Whatever queries we have, we'll be able to answer to that mail. So if you have any doubts, please mail to us. I think you have the mail ID, I guess. Okay, I forgot. I need to share the samples, right? So just give me 2 minutes. I'll share you the samples which I've. So this is the link. You can use this link for downloading that samples. So from the starting of the session, like second session, third session, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the sessions, examples, I mean samples, whatever I was showing, I've uploaded those samples to that link, and also Google Maps related. I've also put the snapshots over here, like how to create the Google Map application. Here, I've explained the steps like how to create the Google Maps. And also how to get the SHA-1 fingerprint if you want. It's not required actually, you directly create a SHA-1 fingerprint. I mean, you don't need to create a SHA-1 fingerprint because when you right click and create the map fragment, it will automatically embed everything. So anyhow, just for general knowledge, you can keep even these things. So I uploaded all these images over there. So you can refer to these things, images also. And also how to install the Android snapshots are present, and also Genymotion installation images. If you want to use the Genymotion emulator, even those snapshots have been provided in that link. So you can download all these things from this particular link. So this is the download link. So if you have any queries, you can mail to us. We'll be able to reply for those mails. And thanks for attending the session. Have a great day.